If you clicked on this video, you're likely going through a spiritual awakening, or you're just curious on what a spiritual awakening is. If you're either one of these, then you're not here by accident, because in this video, I'm going to lay out a roadmap of what exactly a spiritual awakening is, what you should expect as you go through your spiritual awakening, and the best ways to navigate it as a man that I learned through trial and error on my own spiritual journey that I've been on for over 10 years. So make sure to watch till the end, because this is a video you're not going to want to miss. So, what exactly is a spiritual awakening? For us men, there's honestly not that much mainstream information out there about this topic, so it's very easy to feel lost and confused if you're going through one. For me personally, I didn't even realize I went through one until a couple years after of consistently following my spiritual path that I had realized I actually went through one. The best way I can describe what exactly a spiritual awakening is, on a practical level, is to use a metaphor. So I want you to imagine if for your whole life, you were blind, and everyone you knew around you was also blind. You could smell things, you could touch things, you could taste things, you could even hear things, but you couldn't see, and you had no concept of what sight was. Your whole reality as you know it is built on these four senses. But sometimes out of happenstance, you'd come across someone who'd say they could see, and that the outside world was so colorful and vibrant. You, who was blind, would hear this person and pay them no mind, thinking they're just crazy, because you have no way to relate to what he's saying. And everyone around you that you know also can't relate to what he's saying. So you just write him off and ignore him. One day though, you hear someone saying this exact same thing again. But this time, for some reason it's different. You'd usually just dismiss someone like this as crazy and walk away. But something in you felt like this person was different. This time, you listen a little more than you usually do, and you start to wonder, what is he talking about? What does he mean by color? This guy has to be out of his mind. He's just like the rest of them. But deep down, a part of you is curious. So even when you return back to your normal life activities, you can't break the thought wondering about what he meant. So you find the old man again and secretly start to spend time with him, even though you know the others who also can't see would disapprove. Over time, you continue to ask him questions, and he continues to speak of this amazing world. Finally, you ask him the question, how do I see this world? Immediately, he starts to tell you a myriad of things. He tells you how he used to be blind, until someone told him what he's about to tell you. And once he begins to tell you how to see the world, you do everything he says, without even really knowing why. Deep down, something in you just feels like what he's saying is true, even though everyone else around you tells you he's false. Then, one day after repeatedly practicing what the old man told you, all of a sudden, you can finally see. Your sight is still blurry and dark, but you can make out distinct shadows that you could never see before, just like the old man said you would. Before, you were operating out of faith, believing that what the old man was telling you was true. But now, because of your obvious results, you begin to know that what he's saying is true. And as you continue to practice more and more, you strengthen your sight until you can eventually see the world exactly as the old man said you would see it, and you realize how beautiful it really is. You can finally see the colors for the first time in your life, and many other things you never even knew existed. You also finally see the old man with your own eyes for the first time in your life, and you begin to understand him and what he had been describing to you this whole time more fully. What he told you all this time seems so obvious to you now, even though in the past, when you could barely see, you couldn't really understand him. But now, as you look at the old man and he recognizes that you can fully see him, he turns to you, smiles, and says, now that you can truly see, I have so much more to teach you, because learning to see is only the beginning. Now, I know this is a long metaphor, but describing in full accuracy what a true spiritual awakening is harder than you think. The main thing you should take away from the story is that a spiritual awakening at its core is an innate awareness within you that there's more to just this life, even though you don't really know what exactly that is. A spiritual awakening can't be forced, and if you don't have this innate awareness of wanting to question the status quo, it's very likely that it's just not your time yet. But if you're watching this video, I'm certain that on some level, you have this awareness, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't. So if you feel like you have this innate awareness, you are already in the midst of a spiritual awakening. The way in which you choose to navigate this spiritual awakening is completely up to you. Everyone does it differently. Some do it fast, some do it slow. And to be honest, once you gain this awareness, it will never leave you, and your spiritual journey is inevitable. But the one commonality between us all who go through this journey is beginning to really see the world, its beauty, and all the color within it. As a man, Gaining this awareness can be hard. You can start to feel alienated from your peers because you feel different. You can start to feel lost and unsure of what the point of life even is. You can even become a bit cynical and start to feel like everyone around you is still asleep, and most of the world is just living a lie. All of this is completely normal and okay. Getting thrust into a whole new reality where you can finally start to see can be jarring in a world of people who can't. Not to mention that among men, this type of awakening is even less common, due to most men being too logically centered, which prevents them from being able to entertain this level of information that leads to this awareness. You should expect that in the first stages of your spiritual awakening, you will likely go through what's commonly referred to as the dark night of the soul. This, to be honest, is the hardest part of your awakening. This is the stage where, because you're finally able to see how fake everything is, you're also able to see how fake you are, and this really affects you. The things you do in your life that you don't really love, that you don't really care about, that you just do because you were told to do it, or because it was just passed on to you by someone else, really sticks out to you during the stage. On some level, this stage feels like an ego death, because who you thought you were is no longer who you feel you truly are. And this dichotomy between who you thought you were versus who you feel you truly are now will just grow and grow from the moment you awaken, and it will never go away. For most people who are unawake, they may slightly feel this, although it's very easy for them to ignore. But for you, each day, week, month, year, you ignore this, the worse your life will get, because you'll feel like you're living a lie. And that feeling of living a lie will make you go crazy if you don't do anything about it. But once you start to do something about it and start living more true to your authentic self, you should expect to cut out and lose many different things in your life during this phase that you know no longer serves you. This process can oftentimes feel terrible, but at the same time, liberating. People who know you will likely look at you like you've changed, and they're right. You have changed, but this change is a blessing in disguise if you can navigate this phase correctly, because on the other end of living a lie lies your true authentic self. So as you continually work on yourself, you'll start to act and move in a way that's much more authentic and in alignment with who you truly believe yourself to be. And in doing so, the outside world will become more and more beautiful as it begins to reflect your growing consciousness. Each time you level up your consciousness, so to speak, you'll also level up your perspective, and you'll begin to look at the world with new insights and perspectives in higher and higher states of fulfillment. Before, you used to live in the world as an NPC. You followed your predetermined destiny that was programmed into you before you were even conscious, and you didn't even think about it. Your life was on a loop of doing the same things that you likely didn't even enjoy every single day, over and over. But now, because you're consistently cutting out the fake actions and replacing them with new, conscious, aligned actions, you, as a spiritually awakened being, are now living a life you chose. The way in which this is expressed is different for everybody, but the commonality between it all is that you chose it, and you feel like you are expressing your true essence by doing it, which results in you learning to enjoy your life and live a life you love. Now, before I show you the best ways to navigate your spiritual awakening, I've actually created a free ebook called Your Hero's Journey that I designed to specifically assist you in achieving anything you want in your life. If you're thinking about or currently working towards a dream, you need this book, because it's going to help you cut down the time it takes to achieve your dream and show you the secret 10 stages of success that you're going to go through on your self-development journey that I only realized after 10 years of working towards success. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment down below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. Learning to navigate your spiritual awakening is not easy. Not only is there not much readily available information on what exactly to do, but if you try and share your experiences with most people, they won't even know what you're talking about or be able to even relate to it. That's why when navigating your spiritual awakening, you're going to have to learn to use your intuition and pair it with your logic. Because while going through a spiritual awakening, you're going to realize that logic by itself can't provide the full picture that your intuition can, although it can obviously help. Your intuition is that little gut feeling or that voice in your head that you feel from time to time that tries to encourage you to move in a certain direction. During this process, you will have to learn to let it act as a guide to show you where you should be going next. Most of the time, it will even contradict or directly oppose what your logic or ego thinks you actually should be doing. This is why following it can be scary, and why so few people actually do follow it. When you allow your intuition to act as your guide in your life, you're following your heart and pursuing the things you love, which causes you to attract more things that are in alignment with your true self, and create a life that you love, which will obviously bring more fulfillment and happiness to your life. An example of this is someone who works a job they don't really enjoy in the corporate world for over 10 years, who goes through a spiritual awakening and ends up quitting to pursue the thing they've always wanted to do, painting. A sign that you're following your intuition is usually accompanied with you leaving your comfort zone in pursuit of something more. Doing this will almost always cause you to feel a mix of emotions like excitement, fear, and joy. This is where you're meant to be operating. Your intuition will be the main and your best tool for navigating your spiritual awakening. But there are many other tools that you can use to help boost your spiritual awakening. A couple of these tools includes getting into personal development, which will help you eventually find your true purpose. Shadow work, to become aware of, heal, and transcend your traumas. Affirmations, to help change your self-talk, which will positively affect the way you see yourself and how people treat you. Reading self-help books, which of course is invaluable. There's so much information contained in these books from people who spent decades perfecting their craft that can help you live a better quality of life. Identifying and changing negative habits plus beliefs and replacing them with positive habits, beliefs, and routines. I've actually done a video on routines if you'd like to check that out. Learning to set goals and constantly taking action to achieve them every single day, which will start to give your life a feeling of momentum. Learning about the universal spiritual laws, like the law of attraction, and how to use them, which will allow you to live a more aligned life. And just overall, learning how to properly take care of yourself. As you can see, there's so many tools you can use to help boost your spiritual awakening. When using your intuition, you'll be guided to the tools that resonate with you the most. So don't stress about which ones you should be using and in what order. Just remember that although going through a spiritual awakening as a man is not easy, on the other side is so much more benefits that makes it all worth it. That's why, to further help you on your spiritual awakening journey, your next step is to watch this video, which will give you the perfect $0 morning routine you can implement tomorrow. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Love you guys. Peace.